Well, I've made you wait long enough. Here it is, Batwoman, Season 1, Episode 12. Take your choice. What? No, I wasn't talking to you. No, I'm talking to the camera. Yeah, Episode 12. There was 2 Beth. That means 2 Rachel Scarstons. What? No, I don't think she'll mind. Really? You think so? You don't mind? Ruby Rose, really? My birthday?
Can't get enough of your love, babe.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Have no fear, your Bat Bay is here, and I am sprinkling Batwoman goodness all over your ears and eyes. That really didn't sound right. What's up, it's Tepokuian back right here with Batwoman Season 1, Episode 12. Take your choice. As Kate is pulled between 2 sisters, Luke and Mary are tasked with finding the cause. That's right, the cause of what can save Beth from this disintegrate. Wait, we'll just get into that, because if I tell you right now exactly what's going on, you're probably going to get a little bit confused. So try to just stay with me here as we break down all the goodness from Take Your Choice. This week's pulse-pounding, nail-biting, adrenaline-pumping episode starts out with Sophie and Jacob meeting with a doctor who's a specialist and can corroborate Jacob is innocent, and asks about Mouse and says that he'll meet with him and will help Jacob out of jail. Well, right off the bat, no pun intended, for those of you keeping score at home, place your bets on who this callback goes to. I'll take Who Is Mouse's Dad for 2,000, Alex, and we will be back later on with that answer. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, because this is kind of an in-episode cliffhanger we get, because they're desperate to get Jacob out of prison at this point because, well, Sophie can't run the Crows. It's at this point Sophie puts her big girl pantsuit on and is initiating a shoot-to-kill order on Alice, because why not? And one of the Crow officers is spotlighted, and guess what? He's a tough-looking white guy, so you can bet your hard-earned bottom dollar that later on we'll see this poor schmuck suffer a humiliating death. He asks Sophie, "Are you sure you can do that?" to Sophie regarding to her shoot-to-kill order. Now, he addresses her with the wrong title, which she quickly corrects him. "Thank you very much."
You can do that.
It's acting commander. And yes, if you see Alice, do not hesitate.
Thank you very much.
And says it's acting commander. And she tells everyone in the room that if you see Alice, do not hesitate to shoot her. And that at this point, you know, for the officer spotlighted, this will not end well. Luke and Mary are trying to get Multiverse Beth some medical help, but they have to leave town because, as you'll soon learn, both her and Alice are deteriorating because plot. They literally say the world isn't big enough for both of them. Then they get stopped at a Crow checkpoint, and when they're about to get arrested because they found Beth in the back seat because she's coughing and making noises, when in rides my bae, Batwoman, who simultaneously takes out 5 officers with the nifty little rope trick, and Luke, Mary, and Beth escape. Of course they do, because, well, you can't stop Batwoman, and these Crows officers, as we'll soon find out, are about as worthless as Cobra officers, stormtroopers, and other fodder. Sir, that Sophie said, if you see Alice, do not hesitate, shoot to kill. And what does he do? He looks, he fumbles for his gun, has a moment of self-contemplation, probably wonders if he turned the stove off, and then catches a butterfly knife to the neck. Because you know what? No 220-pound trained law enforcement officer is a match for a 120-pound girl with a butterfly knife. Let's just be honest, that's the way of the world these days, because woman. Forgot to tell you, she takes his uniform and says, I wouldn't be caught dead in that uniform, but luckily you will. This was so cringy, and the fact that she puts it on and it fits her absolutely perfect is quite indicative of how big of a piece of plot armor that this is, because, well, you know what? Writing is hard. Kate, Luke, Mary, and Beth are talking science about Beth's condition, and they brilliantly deduce that her and Alice are disintegrating at the molecular level, and they have exactly 7 hours to save her. So better snap to it, kids, because this show ain't gonna write itself, and these molecules aren't going to stop disintegrating without the brilliant help of everybody involved, especially Mary. Yeah, that's right. I said it. We then, of course, get Alice wearing the Dead Crow's uniform entering the hospital. Even though he was way bigger than her, it fit perfectly, of course. So she walks right into the hospital to rescue Mouse. But as they're sitting there talking and blood starts coming out of her ear, she decides that there's another stop she needs to make before she rescues her good friend Mouse from the hospital. And he, of course, just goes right along with this because he trusts Alice explicitly, has no doubts, no hesitations in her ever throwing him under the bus or selling him out. He was a little scared because he thought it was Beth in disguise again, but nope. Remember Alice's boyfriend Dodgson? Yeah, the former Crow officer that Jacob and Sophie had locked up because they found out he was working with Alice? Yeah, well, we get a fight scene between him and Jacob in the latrine, and it is every bit as jam-packed with excitement that you could hope for with a CW fight scene between Dougray Scott and, well, this other guy. So Dodgson kind of stabs him with a shank in the kidney, and they brawl back and forth. You know, Dougray Scott gets his head shoved in the toilet, and if it weren't for the inmate who kept calling Scott his puppy, saving his life and taking Dodgson out, well, Mr. Dougray Scott himself, Jacob Kane, would have been dead. So he says, the inmate says to Jacob, I'm about to get out, so I figure you owe me one now, and I can cash that in later, basically. So Dodgson's eliminated. Quite convenient to the plot, isn't it? We join crossover Beth and Luke as they're talking, and in stumbles Alice. Of course, just figures, fuck it, I'll just kill the other me, who's clearly not a psychopath. I'm not going to lie. Seeing two Rachel Skarstens on scene together was not the worst thing on Earth. Alice gets super mad when she finds out that on Beth's Earth, yes, crossover Beth, Kate saved her from the car before it fell. So a rational response by Alice is to throw her knife at Beth, and Kate catches it. Then they just let Alice leave, just walk out the door for some reason, because plot, of course. Again, are you seeing a theme here develop that all these little plot devices are just, they outweigh common sense and ability to write a coherent story this episode? Then, of course, Alice just stumbles right into Mary's clinic, and they have a little fight in which Mary somehow manages to come out on top of this, and that's what no other 240-pound trained law enforcement officer in this show can do. Hold their own with 110-pound Alice. But after taking a tray shot to the face, Mary comes to, and of course, takes Alice out and is able to handcuff her to one of the beds that is fastened to the floor. Yay, plot! We're then taken back to Mr. Mouse's hospital room, and Dr. Ethan Campbell, who's the plastic surgeon who visited Jacob Kane earlier in the jail, now he's with Mouse in his hospital room. And then we get the big reveal as the good doctor takes off his skin mask, and it's dear old Dad! Like father, like son, and Daddy is pissed and hell-bent on making sure that old Mouse stays locked away for good. Dad wants to kill Alice, and Mouse won't give her up based on his loyalty to her. Dad injects him with what I believe is supposed to be sodium pentothal to try to get him to spill the beans on Alice's whereabouts this episode. But, of course, Mouse's fierce sense of loyalty to Alice cannot be overstated as he refuses the demands of his father. Now, meanwhile, mind you, this guy is dressed in a skin suit and has been living somebody else's life for 10 years and is claiming accolades in this guy's name, and you're still going to say no to him? No sane person does this, ever. So, yeah, I didn't tell you how that Mary and Alice fight wrapped up, did I? So Mary, they're going at it. She grabs a conveniently placed phone off the wall, dials 1-800-COLLECT.
Dial 0 when you called me last night. Should have dialed 1-800-COLLECT. It would have saved me a bundle.
Reaches out and touches Alice in the head with it, then handcuffs her to the bed that is fastened to the floor. Good thing Alice took that lesson to heart, because she uses that phone to call Crow's security and tell them that Alice, a.k.a. Multiverse Beth, is at Wayne Industries. Alice, of all people, doesn't know that snitches get stitches. Really, bitches? So Alice is hallucinating while she is handcuffed to the bed and has a vision of Katherine Hamilton, who basically talks shit to her, telling her that Kate will never accept her because she's pure evil. Mary goes and meets with Kate and tells her that her blood will save one of them. Beth gives the syringe to Kate, and then they argue over which one to save. And Kate, of course, wants to save both, but can't because, say it with me, boys and girls, one more time real loud, because my plot. Kate finds Alice in Mary's clinic, and Alice says that she knew she'd come back and choose her. And we see Kate, cut away, returns to the Batcave, and Beth tells her that she knows about the blood and gives Kate this impassioned speech. Then we cut back to Kate and Alice, and Kate tells her that she came to say goodbye and that she chose Beth. Alice is crying, she's getting angry, and Kate says she really didn't know her. And I can't even take this seriously because Alice is just a murderous psychopath. Now, Alice saying that Kate doesn't know her is absolutely hilarious because, like I said, we've really gotten to know her psyche over these past 12 episodes, and, spoiler alert, it is not healthy. So we see Kate give the blood to Beth, and Luke runs in, and Kate tells him to take the bat cycle because the crows are invading Wayne Industries. It won't be long before they find the Batcave. Luke and Beth are on the bat cycle blowing through checkpoints. When they arrive at, we see Kate crying as it looks like Alice is dead. Like I said, they were kind of jumping around at this point, and you really thought that Alice was dead, maybe, or maybe you didn't. I don't know. I really didn't. But so as the scene kind of jumps back and forth here throughout our timeline, we see the arrival of Luke and Beth at a hotel, a destination where they were supposed to go and meet Kate, and we see a crosshair drawn right on Beth. That's right. It's Sophie. Sophie's getting ready to take the shot. She doesn't. She calls off the kill order on Alice at the request of Batwoman. That's right. She used her better judgment, but then Beth goes down with a gunshot, and guess who it is? Not Lee Harvey Oswald. No. Look up on the roof. Da-da-da-da. The suspense is just killing you. I know it is, because guess what? Whose dad was it? It was Mouse's dad. That's right. He killed who we thought was Alice. So speaking of Alice, the last time we saw her, we thought she was dead because, well, Beth was alive and well because she got the blood injection from Mary. That's right, Kate gave the blood to Beth from Elseworlds or Crossover, Infinite Earths, or wherever the hell she was from. As we see Kate crying. Alice awakens, startled. Did she just cheat death? That look in her eyes says she is not happy with her twin sister. Is she now? Because, well, that leads up to this next line, which is pure Alice, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me die. But I didn't.
So that's it. That's how the episode ends right there. Thank you very much for joining me for episode 12 of Batwoman. Take your... Oh, wait. That's not how it ends? What? Are you sure? Oh, yeah. Come to find out, next week, we're not just going to get Batwoman. We're getting a freaking vampire. That's right. There's a freaking vampire on the show next week. That's it. Now we're done. Well, my final thoughts. This episode wasn't the worst, but it definitely wasn't good. And of course, we watched Beth get killed off as opposed to disposing of Alice, and we got the predictable re-emergence of Mr. Mouse and his reinsertion into this already muddled up plot. It honestly would have been more interesting had they killed off Alice. But that's another time, another story. Right now, here's where you can find us on social media. On Instagram at TB2BR, the Place to Be Reviews page on Facebook, the official Place to Be Reviews fan page, that's our private group on Facebook, at the Place to Be RE1 on Twitter, at N80Pete on Twitter. Past podcast available on Anchor, iTunes, and Spotify. New podcast coming up soon to blogtalkradio.com. And oh yeah, don't I have one more announcement to make about tonight? I'm not sure. That's right. Tonight, 8:35 Eastern, right here on the channel, the debut of Pete Daddy Dollar's Pad, the new weekly wrestling podcast that'll be happening right here, featuring myself, Brother Will Vendetta, Jared the Ref, Coach Loudy, and a slew of other guests along the way. Until then, I'm Itepo Kuyin in the Place to Be Reviews. I've been here with all of yous. If I don't see you, have a great day, and of course, as always, a pleasant tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen.